हरी लाल की जय, श्रीमद सद्गुरु सरकार की जय. May I ask you to come forward, please? Thank you. ध्यानमूलं गुरोर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलं गुरोर्पदम् मन्त्रमूलं गुरोर्वाक्यं भक्तिमूलं गुरोर्कृपा. जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादि तरतश्चार्थे श्वभिज्ञः स्वराट् तेने ब्रह्म हृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि. नमः कमलना भाय नमः कमलमालिने नमः कमलपादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण. यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तद्ब्रह्मा देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये. Eternal seekers of knowledge, let's now chant for a few minutes. Gopala, Gopala, Radha Vallabh, Gopala. We chant the glorious name of Gopal, Shri Krishna, the divine cowherd, who is the beloved of Radharani. Chorus, please. Can you give one to Rani as well? Jai Jai Gopala, Gopala, Radha Vallabh, Gopala, Jai Jai Gopala, Gopala, Radha Vallabh, Gopala. Gopala, Jai Jai Gopala. Jai Jai बोलिए राधा वल्लभ गोपाल की जय, वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय, श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। Devotional listeners, now I humbly request your full attention, and also I request that you turn your cell phones off so that they will not be ringing during the lecture. Yesterday, I started speaking on the topic of the Bhagavad Gita, and we learned that the Bhagavad Gita is in fact the essence of the Upanishads. The Upanishads are part of the Vedas, and they contain the most formidable knowledge of God, the individual soul, and Maya. So the philosophy of the Upanishads has been condensed in the Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita is a very small scripture, only 700 verses divided into 18 chapters, but it has a universal message. The message or messages of the Bhagavad Gita, they're applicable to everyone in the world without exception, regardless of which religion people are following. They're applicable to people of all religions, everywhere. And this is why this scripture has been translated into many, many languages of the world. It has been translated, it has been read, it has been appreciated. Because you see, all are children of the same God. So Shri Krishna has not given a message only for the Hindu. He has given the message for all his children. God does not make any distinctions between the Hindu and the Christian, Hindu and the non-Hindu. All are the same to him. But it is our great fortune that we have the Vedas and the Upanishads available to us. And the gist of the Upanishads is given to us in the Bhagavad Gita. So yesterday we also looked at Arjun's confusion, his dilemma. I don't want to fight. He's in the middle of the battlefield and Shri Krishna is driving his chariot. Arjun has told Shri Krishna to take his chariot smack in the middle of the battlefield, and Shri Krishna has done that. And then all of a sudden Arjun changes his tune and he says, I can't fight. I can't fight the battle. And he gives many reasons. Well, if I fight this battle, I'll be killing many, and this and that. So all of that was talked about yesterday. At the same time, Arjun did something very intelligent, and that is that he asked Shri Krishna for guidance. He says, I am confused. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I don't know if I'm thinking straight. So I am your fully surrendered disciple. You please tell me what I should do. And Shri Krishna, seeing the inquisitive Arjun and seeing that Arjun is very perplexed, Shri Krishna gives him knowledge. And that knowledge is not only for Arjun, that knowledge is for every man, for everyone in existence. It's for all of us. Shri Krishna says to Arjun, you're afraid of killing these people who are in front of you on the other side, on the Kaurav side. You're afraid of killing them. They're your cousins, they are your teachers, your gurus, they're your grandfather. But I tell you that you cannot kill anyone. You cannot kill anyone. Because you see, Arjun, you cannot kill the soul. You're looking at them and you're looking at their bodies. So you're thinking the body to be the self. But I tell you, Arjun, that the body is not the self. It is the soul which is the self. A person is defined, any creature is defined really, not by the body, but by the Atma. Our essence is not this body. Our essence is the Atma, the soul. So Arjun, you cannot kill anyone. Don't worry. You will not be killing anyone because the soul cannot be killed. Shri Krishna said, Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavakah, na chainam kledayantyapo, na shoshayati marutah. In the second chapter, Shri Krishna says, Arjun, the soul cannot be killed by any weapon. It cannot be burnt by fire, it cannot be moistened by water, nor can it be withered by the wind. It has always existed and it will always continue to exist. Arjun, the soul does not take birth. Therefore, the soul does not ever die. So we don't die. The body dies, but we don't die. Shri Krishna explains again to Arjun by saying, Vasansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihnati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnanyanyani sanyati navani dehi. O Arjun, just as you change clothes after you bathe, don't you? Yes, Maharaj. You discard old clothes, clothes that are soiled. You discard them in favor of fresh garments, washed garments, new garments, don't you? Yes, Maharaj. Well, that's exactly what happens with the body and the soul. The soul leaves one body and it accepts another. That's all that death is. The soul is accepting another body, but the soul does not die. The only difference between a person discarding old, worn out garments and the soul leaving one body in favor of another is that we tend to discard old and worn out garments, but the soul does not necessarily discard an old body, a diseased body. The soul can discard a very new and fresh body, the body of a child, the body of a newborn, in fact, the body of a child, the body of a teenager, the body of a young man or a young woman. Death does not come only to the old and the diseased, the sickly. It can come to anyone. So that's the difference. But otherwise, just as you put on new clothes, discard the old ones, in the same way, the soul discards one body in favor of another. This knowledge given to Arjuna and thereby to all of us gives us much needed consolation, doesn't it? And we never die. We just take another body. We have this body right now in this life. We had another body in the previous life. We will have another one in the next life. We've had countless such bodies in our countless previous lives. According to our actions, we have been born in the body of an insect, a bird, a plant, tree, animal, and we have also been blessed with the human body. So one of the first knowledge, the very first knowledge that Lord Krishna gives is, oh Arjun, you are not the body, you are the soul. The body is Aj, it is Nitya, it is Shashvat. It is eternal. Eternal. Not like the body. The soul is eternal, not like the body. The body goes through 6 stages. Asti jayate vardhate viparinamate apakshiyate vinashyati. The body is asti, meaning it exists. Jayate, it takes birth. Vardhate, it grows up. Viparinamate, it goes through many changes. Apakshiyate, it declines. And then vinashyati, it comes to an end. Shri Krishna is telling Arjun, you are the soul, not the body. The body is yours, you cannot be what is yours. And the soul is the main thing. We are a combination of body and soul, but soul is the main thing. When the soul leaves the body, family members don't want to keep that body around. They don't say, well, let's just keep it in the house for a few days. No. No one wants to keep that body that does not have the soul in it. The dead body, nobody wants to keep it. Nobody wants to go near it. People become afraid. And yet, this is a person who was so loved by so many people. This was a person many people knew. Millions of people knew him. Millions of people wanted to get his autograph. Millions of people wanted to get a photo with him, a selfie with him. Today, do you want a selfie with him? Oh, that's just his body. That's not that's not him. No, well, that's him. No, that's his body. I don't want a selfie with his dead body. I already have a selfie with him, that's enough. So when the soul leaves the body is just useless. Now nobody wants to go near it. घर के कहीं वेगी ही काढ़ो भूत भय को खई है जा दिन मन पंछी उड़ी जई है. Tulsidas ji says people who love this person, now that his soul has departed from the body, they don't want to go near him, they're afraid of him. Even the wife who loved her husband so much, she used to say, I can't live without you. Now she says, get the body out. So once we understand, or once we start to understand that we are the soul, then everything changes. The way we live changes. The way we think changes. Our whole attitude towards life and towards others, it all changes in a flash. Once we start understanding we are the Atma. Once we start understanding who we are, then we simply cannot take offense. If somebody calls you a fool and you don't identify with the body, you identify with the soul, why would you be angry at this person who has called you a fool? If someone is calling you names, you will not take offense. You will not feel offended. I heard something once, and that person was saying, I have been called many names, but I have never been offended. That is wonderful. That's so deep. I've been called many names, but I've never taken offense. Why is this person saying this? Because he understands who he is. Mahatma Buddha was sitting in meditation, and a man came up to him and started calling him all the names in the book. All the names he could think about. Not nice names. All the nasty names. You're a fraud, you're a trickster, you're this, you're that. And Mahatma Buddha kept sitting there and kept meditating. But after some time, he opened his eyes and he said to one of the disciples, this man has been talking so much, his throat must be parched. His throat must be dry. Why don't you give him some water to drink? And the man was incredulous. He said, I can't believe this. I have been insulting you and you are giving me water to drink? Well, you need to replenish your energy. What? And the man was so confused. Why are you not offended? Mahatma Buddha said, you have not offended me. The soul cannot be offended. And he also said, you've given me the gift of abusive words, but I chose not to accept them. So why should I be offended? I chose not to accept the gift of abusive words that you gave me. Thank you, but no thank you. I have no use for these words. So the gift remains with you. Why should I take offense? This knowledge must be heard. It must be understood by us. It must be reflected upon again and again. Jagat Guru Shri Kripalu ji Maharaj, Shri Maharaj used to say, think again and again that you are the Atma. You're not the body. You are the Atma. You are the soul. Naham manushyo, na cha deva yaksho, na brahmana, kshatriya vaishya shudra. Na brahmachari, na grihi vanastho, bhikshur na chaham, nija bodha rupa. Think again and again, I'm not a Brahmin, I'm not Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra. I am not a celibate student, I am not a householder, I'm not a vanaprasthi or a forest dweller, nor am I a mendicant sannyasi. I'm none of this, because I'm the Atma. The Atma has no gender, it has no caste, it has no height, no weight, no color, no religious affiliation, no political affiliation. It has no age, it is ageless, it is timeless. And the while the Bhagavad Gita tells us a little bit about talks a little bit about the soul, the Upanishads, and remember the Bhagavad Gita has the essence of the Upanishads. The Upanishads tell us a lot more about the Atma. What do they say to us? They tell us that Eshonuratma, Mundakopanishad. They tell us Anupramanat, Kathopanishad. The soul is very, very small. It is Anu. Anu means small. How small? So small that there could be nothing smaller than it. Smaller than an atom? Yes. Smaller than a proton? Yes. Smaller than a neutron? Yes, yes, yes. Smaller than the smallest. Shvetashvatara Upanishad says in a very nice and fancy way, Balagrashata bhagasya shatadha kalpitasya cha bhago jivah savigyeha sa chanantyaya kalpate. This verse from Shvetashvatara Upanishad says, if you really want to know the size of the soul, then take one strand of hair. Take a strand of your own hair, just break it, and examine it, and then split it widthwise into 100 parts. And right there we give up and we put up our arms and we say it's impossible. I mean, no matter how thick someone's hair it may be, you can't split one strand of even very thick hair into 100 parts. But this verse says, well, suppose you could do it, all right? Now take one of those parts. Suppose you take one of the 100 parts and split it further into 100 parts. Which means that you're splitting a hair widthwise into 10,000 parts. Well, that's impossible. Suppose it was possible. Suppose it were possible, then that would be the size of the soul. Why don't you just say the soul doesn't have a size? That's what it means. The soul is subtle. It does not have a size. It cannot be seen, not even by the best instrument that can help us see. It just cannot be seen. Scientists have tried, but they cannot they cannot see the soul. They could not. There was a scientist who knew he was dying, and he told his fellow scientists, just enclose me in a glass coffin, so you could see what's going on. And when the soul leaves my body, there should be even the smallest little crack in the mirror, in that glass. But when he died, there was not even the slightest little bit of a crack in the glass. And they examined it thoroughly, there was nothing. The soul left, and the scientists could not find out where it left from. Because the soul is sukshma. Eshonuratma, it is anu. Anu pramanat, as I just quoted, that it is anu. Smaller than the smallest. And where does it live? Where does the soul live? Hridi hyesha atma. Again, the Upanishads say that the soul lives in the heart. It lives in the sukshma hriday. It lives in the subtle heart. The subtle heart that is within the physical beating heart. But while being in one place, the soul spreads its consciousness throughout the body. So Chandogya Upanishad says, Alomabhya anakhebhya. Because of the presence of the soul within the body, the entire body becomes conscious, from head to toe. Alomabhya anakhebhya. From head to toe, the entire body becomes conscious. So as long as the soul is within us, we are able to feel pleasure and pain. If somebody sticks, or if you yourself stick a pin in your skin, in your hand, or wherever, your arm, you will feel that pinch, you will feel the pain. Because the Atma is inside. You're able to feel the heat and the cold. But the body that's missing the soul, the dead body, does not feel anything. So, as long as the soul is within the body, we see that the body is moving, my hands are moving, I'm walking using my legs and my feet, I am nodding my head, so I'm seeing with my eyes, and I'm hearing with my ears. So here's how we get confused. We think that the body is sentient, it is alive by itself. By itself, the body has no consciousness. It's just like this tissue box, Kleenex box, has no life. Just like that. It is jad, insentient, it's lifeless. What gives life to the body is the Atma, and the Atma, the soul, is who we are. Shri Krishna is giving this formidable knowledge, this amazing knowledge to Arjun, and of course he's giving it to all of us by giving it to Arjun. Does Arjun need to have this knowledge? No. Because he already has it. He already has this knowledge. But in various scriptures, what we see is that a saint, someone who's God realized, he has all the powers of God, he would ask another saint a question. So one of them becomes the disciple, the other one becomes the guru. So the disciple asks the guru, and the guru gives the answers, and that question-answer session gets recorded in a scripture, and then we are all able to benefit from it by reading it, understanding it. So this is what's happening with Arjun. He is playing the part of someone who is ignorant. Shri Krishna is giving him knowledge. So we receive this knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita that we are the Atma and that we are not the body. The body belongs to us. It is not us. Then Shri Krishna also explains, O Arjun, he says, Mamaivansho Jivaloke, Mamaivansho Jivaloke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. All individual souls, all the Atmas, Jivatmas, they belong to me. They are my eternal fractions. All the souls, and there are countless. Some people say there's just one Atma. There is this one light that is within me, and the same one is within you, and within him, and within her, and within them. But Shvetashvatara Upanishad says, no, that's not correct, because Sachanantyaya Kalpate. There are Ananta souls. Each one is individual, so we call the soul individual soul. Every soul is individual. There's not just one soul, there are countless souls. Shri Krishna says, every individual soul is my eternal fraction. Every Atma belongs to me. This is why God is called Paramatma. One of his names is Paramatma. Paramatma meaning the supreme soul, the soul of all souls. The soul of countless souls is Bhagwan Shri Krishna. So Arjun, you are the Atma, and everyone you see in front of you, they're all Atma. I know you did not want to fight this battle, but I tried every which way, but Duryodhan will not listen. He did not listen. He wants to fight. So now go ahead and fight this lawful battle. This is a legal battle. Don't be afraid. Arjun is asking, what should I do? Because remember, yesterday we were talking about this. Gandivam sransate hastatok chaiva paridahyate nacha shakno me vasthatum brahmativa cha me manah. Oh, Shri Krishna, my mind is reeling with confusion. My bow is slipping from my hands, and it's as if my body's on fire. My body's just burning. How can I fight? I'm in no shape to fight. I'm not in any mental condition to fight. I don't think it's right to fight this battle. But tell me what to do. So Shri Krishna says, you are the Atma. First of all, understand that. And everyone is the Atma, not the body. And every soul, every Atma belongs to me. So Arjun, do your duty as a warrior, as a Kshatriya. Kshatriyas are the warriors. So you are a warrior, you're a Kshatriya, so do your duty. Do your duty and fight the battle. Arjun says, but if I fight the battle, I'll be killing so many, and that's a sin. That is a sin. I don't want to incur sin because as a result of committing sins, I will be sent down to hell. I don't want to live in hell. I don't want to commit this sin. Shri Krishna said, you will not be committing any sin. How is that possible, Keshav? How is it that I'll be committing so many murders and I'll be free from sin? Shri Krishna said, karma or action, fruit-bearing action, an action is considered to be a karma only when your mind is attached to that action. If you kill a person out of anger, you become so angry that anger grows to such heights that you tell yourself, I've got to kill this person. I've got to kill this fellow. That's a sin. But if you just follow my instruction and you have nothing against the Kauravas, you have no feelings of animosity, you have no anger, you have no such feelings towards them, you are just going to do your duty. And at the same time, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara. At the same time, Arjun, think of me all the time. Do your duty. Fight the battle. You'll be shooting arrows at the enemy. And you're going to be protecting yourself. These are the two things you'll be doing. So do your duty, fight the battle, but your actions will not be considered fruit-yielding actions. An action is an action. Then there's karma, which means a fruit-bearing action. Keep your mind attached to me all the time. And then yuddha cha. Do your duty at the same time. You will not incur any sin. Your mind is going to be attached to me. Physically, you're fighting the battle and you're killing the enemy, trying to protect yourself. By killing them, you're not going to incur any sin. Because your mind is going to remain pure. You're going to be thinking of me at all times. In the same Geeta, Shri Krishna has said, Yat karoshi yadashnasi yajjuhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Shri Krishna says in the 9th chapter, O Arjun, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever charity you give, whatever you're doing, do everything. But first, offer it all to me. What does that mean? Many people have read this from the Geeta, and many people have become confused by reading this. So, what is the confusion? Lord Krishna is saying I should offer him every action. So now I have finished eating. Oh Shri Krishna, I offer you the action of eating. What? Now I have finished my 8-9 hours in the office. Now I offer you those 9 hours. Now I offer you that action. I offer you this action after I finished it. No, Shri Krishna says, when you are performing that action, think of me all the time. That is what I mean by saying, offer it to me. Consider it to be an offering to me. When you're eating, consider it to be that food before you eat. And during your meal time, think that I am accepting this food. You are eating for my sake. You are eating to become stronger. You're eating to get more energy so that you may serve me by serving your Guru. You are studying, you are gaining an education. Well, it's a very worldly action. But you can give me that action of studying and getting an education. While you are studying, think of me and keep me as your aim, says Sri Krishna. You are getting an education so that you may be better able to serve me. You're working at your job so that you may serve me financially. You are, whatever you're doing, think of that as the means to serve me. O Arjun, fight the battle with your body, but keep your mind engaged in me. And that is such an important lesson for everyone, for all of us, isn't it? We are doing something or the other all day long. And all those actions, except for the time when we are doing devotion, all those actions are worldly actions. Going to sleep is a worldly action, very worldly action. But Sant Kabir, he says, oh my Lord, when I go to sleep, I think I am doing a full body prostration, doing a Sashtang Pranam at your lotus feet. And I think to myself, I will dream about him. So even the act of sleeping, which is a very worldly action, becomes an act of devotion. Shri Maharaj has written, Sapno dekhyo raat sakhi ek. So when we sing this, Shri Maharaj recommends that we sing it at night. And why should we sing it at night? Because then Shri Krishna, the mind gets this idea that, oh, Shri Krishna, I will think about Shri Krishna even when I am sleeping. The mind gets introduced to Shri Krishna right before we go to sleep. And so Shri Krishna is likely to appear in our dreams. So the act of sleeping becomes an act of devotion. The act of eating becomes an act of devotion. The act of gaining an education, getting an education, becomes an act of devotion. We should not think that just when we visit the mandir, the place of worship, that's when I'm doing devotion. Or when I do sadhana at home, that's devotion, but the rest of the time I'm not doing that. No. Shri Krishna says, O Arjun, you will not be incurring any sin if you become a karma yogi. The concept of karma yoga is very popular. From the Bhagavad Gita, we learn the concept of karma yoga, doing our duty physically, but keeping the mind united with God internally. That's a yoga part, yoga, union. Shri Krishna has taught this message to all of us. So we understand then that every action can be converted into an act of devotion. Every single action. Moreover, this will prevent us from performing undesirable actions because we have become aware. We've become aware of God. We are starting to become aware that I am the Atma, I am not this body. I am the Atma, I am the Atma. I must nourish my Atma, I must nourish myself, I must nourish the soul. What is the nourishment of the soul? It is Bhagwan Shri Krishna. I must feed Bhagwan Shri Krishna to my mind. I must think of him. I must love him. I must serve him. That is what I will do. I will do my duty in the world, but I will practice devotion. I will think of him, of Shri Krishna all the time. For he is the only one who belongs to me. Kati naam suta na lalita kati va neha vadhura bhunjihi kvanute kvanutascha vavayam bhavasangha khalupantha sangamaha. Adi Jagat Guru Shankaracharya says, you are regarding these people in your family members, as yours, as your nearest and dearest ones. But I ask you a question. Where are the ones you considered your own in your previous lifetimes? You have accepted countless people to be your mother, your father, your siblings, your spouse, your children. You have been attached to countless people. But where are they now? They didn't have to be people. They could be in the form of animals, insects, birds, plants, and trees. But where are they now? You consider them to be your own, but you don't remember them. So Adi Shankaracharya says this world is like a marketplace where you go and you meet many people, but you don't become attached. Like, oh, I saw you in the mall, and I think you're my best friend. I've become quite attached to you. Are you crazy? You just saw somebody in the mall and you become attached. How's that? You go your way and he or she goes their way. It's a marketplace. You don't become attached. You just say, hello, namaste, radhe radhe, and how are you at the most? How are you? I'm fine, I'm good. And sometimes we don't even hear the answer. We ask someone, how are you? Oh, I'm just on the brink of death. Well, that's very nice. See you sometime. We don't even hear the answer because it's just pleasantry. That's all. It doesn't mean anything. How are you? There was someone who had just come from India. He was a newcomer in Canada, and he told me, he said, when I first came, I thought people are so caring, because everywhere I go, they say, hi, how are you? How are you doing? And one day I was so miserable, and somebody says, hi, how are you? And I said, well, let me tell you, I'm missing my country. I'm missing my family. I'm just miserable. And he said, this person just looked at me, what? Are you for real? What? Do you think I have time to listen to all of this? And he said, oh, I thought he really meant it. Because in India, you don't say, no, kaise ho? What do you do? But not so much as over here, right? Hey, how are you doing? And it doesn't mean anything. So when we go to the mall, we go to the marketplace, we don't become attached. We don't think those people to be ours. We don't say, where are you going? Come home with me. No, because you know that we're just fellow travelers. We're just fellow shoppers. And in this world, we are fellow travelers. Fellow travelers is who we are. And the only one who is ours, Shri Krishna is hinting at that, the only one who belongs to you, O Arjun, is God. The only one who belongs to us is God, because he is the soul of all souls. So Shri Krishna, who is playing the role of the Guru, Arjun has accepted him as the Guru, knowing fully well that Shri Krishna is the Supreme Lord, yet Arjun has said, I need to know what I should be doing. I need knowledge. I'm confused. My mind is reeling with confusion. So Shri Krishna gives him the very basic knowledge. You are the soul, not the body. It's such a basic lesson, but we have yet to learn it. And when we learn it, then, as I was mentioning earlier, everything will change. There was a little girl, and I had gone to her city and had lived in her house many times, and she was very, very small. And the first time I went to their house was when she was just a baby, so she had heard a lot of lectures. So one day, this is what her mother told me. This little girl was in school, public school, and it was recess time. So this little girl, satsangi girl, she saw another girl crying, and she asked, why are you crying? And the other girl said, that girl, she was mean to me. And then the satsangi girl said, don't cry, because you are the soul, and nobody can insult the soul. And I was amazed to hear that. You are the Atma, you are the soul, and nobody can insult the soul, because she had heard this in a lecture. And she just repeated it, and it was so deep. I was so impressed. Everybody was impressed to hear this. And that little girl, this one was preaching to, she was confused. What? What am I? So, basic knowledge is the most important knowledge. You see, because we could be doing everything else right in life. But if we haven't understood who we are, then everything that we think is right, it will be wrong. Just like if you're doing calculations, mathematical calculations. You make a mistake right in the beginning. Instead of putting 7 plus 7, instead of saying 14, you put 16. You're distracted. You know what 7 plus 7 is. You put 16, you made a mistake. Now you do subsequent calculations. And you're doing them all correctly. But why is the answer wrong? It's because you made a mistake right in the beginning. In the very same way, if we get the basic knowledge wrong, if we get the basics wrong, I am the body, I don't know anything about the soul, that is a wrong thing. So if we make a mistake right here in the basics, then everything else in life that we do will be wrong. The answer will be wrong. So this is a very important message of the Gita. The Bhagwan Shri Krishna reminds Arjun and thereby all of us that we are the Atma, not the body. And that he is the one that we belong to. And that every action must be done for his pleasure. We must think of him at all times while doing our worldly duty. Many people think, to be a devotee of God, you just have to give up your marriage and your children and your house and home and business and work. It's a misconception, a gross misconception. You don't have to give up physically. Keep on doing what you're doing. The path of devotion does not require one to give up. It requires us to add. Add devotion to what you are already doing. That's all we have to do. And this is the message that Shri Krishna gives us through the Bhagavad Gita. We will continue tomorrow and all the way until Friday with the message of the Gita. Boliye Srimad Sadguru Sarkar ki Jai. Srimad Yugal Sarkar ki Jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. Jai Jai Shri